Should we start with the agenda building there?
Yeah. So we'll talk about introduction to Datavid, who we are, what we do, our experience with entity extraction in Datavid. We'll try to focus our presentation and demo on the entity extraction bit because that's the core topic of today's presentation and series. And then we'll show a demo on entity extraction and how we have used it. And then we'll talk about Datavid Rover, which is a solution or a platform we are building, which uses MarkLogic, but uses entity extraction and the kind of use case that Michael talked about with Amgen. We have experience in solving these use cases. So we'll talk about what Datavid Rover provides. And then in the end, some Q&A. So next slide, Alex. So who we are a niche software development company, a consultancy company. We help enterprises to build intelligent data platforms. Now, intelligent data platforms are the ones which Michael just showcased that Amgen built. We use proven technology. So what that means is use technologies like MarkLogic, which is a multi-model database, allows you to put your data coming from relational or different data silos, varied hybrid applications you might have built, put it in one place and give you a single place where you can view all your data and derive meaning from all your data by doing enriching your data, enriching your content, using ontologies or using machine learning models, doing entity extraction using those models, and then providing some nice visualization, search UI, or APIs, which can be used by downstream systems. Thanks, Alex. So our services, we provide advisory around your data strategy, data governance, how you can look at your existing data and how it can be used to derive more meaning out of the data. Software development, we are full stack development. We provide full stack development capabilities. We are a niche company and we focus on building the kind of products that Amgen built and solving the business problems that the enterprises might be having with their data. So data intelligence, automation, so building your data hubs and building them with microservices which you can replace and or add to try out new models with your data. We build cloud-ready scalable software which can be hosted on AWS, on-prem, or Azure. We have a lot of expertise in NoSQL with MarkLogic, with graph databases and semantics experience. And we also do support and maintenance. So what that means is if you have already existing investment in MarkLogic, we can help you there as well, and with cloud migration strategies. Next slide, Alex. Our team, Datavid was founded in 2018 by ex-MarkLogic consultants. We have a team of 25 right now, spread across UK, Romania, and India. We specialize in MarkLogic, but we specialize in full stack, so doing your front end as well as your middle tier development in Java, J2E, and using semantics technologies as well. Next slide, Alex.
Sounds good. Then, yeah, if we get with the intro, let's get to the main point of this presentation, which is entity extraction. And what we first want to start with is a bit describe the types of entity extraction that we are going to discuss in this presentation. And also these are mostly the types we saw in our customers. The first type would be some entity, we called it entity recognition because it's based on using some already tagged data. So if one of our clients for solving his problem has any tag data or has any means of tagging some data, we might want to go into that direction and build a model to extract entities based on the data. Or I'm also going to describe a bit entity linking, which is ties a bit into what Michael presented as well. And when our customers has an existing ontology or some existing vocabulary that we can refer to, then we know what entities we're looking for. So we're going to try to link those entities to the content that you have in the documents. Okay, then first we want to go into why would you use entity extraction. So we want to present some of the use cases where we saw that entity extraction actually solves the problems for our customers. The first use case would be discovery. So having entity extraction, so having that extra metadata on your documents can help you do things like cognitive search, which sounds like a buzzword, but is something to a deeper, more advanced search than text search. Basically, searching based on that metadata and based on your knowledge graph and applying that information on the documents and using that information to find something relevant. Also, you can link these concepts. So if you're having a data hub, as described before, you can start linking these concepts, and then you'll know what to suggest in the search. You'll know what other synonyms you can look for in the documents to provide the relevant search results to the user. And you can also do some sort of categorization. You can know, okay, these are these types of documents, so you can better sort your data, better categorize it, and make use of it. And this use case we've actually saw in one of our clients, which is a life science company. And what we helped them was with improving the discoverability of their materials, of their research phase in R&D projects. So basically, whenever they were starting a new project, they had this research phase to see, okay, what did we do before, what our competitors are doing, what's there in the market, and that's a usual process for them. But their documents were all over the place. So they were in network drives, they were in external systems. So we brought all this in together, we tied it up with their knowledge graph, and we helped them make use of that. So have more advanced searches and find everything. So then increasing that discoverability and easing that research phase for their projects. Another use case that we came across was automation. So basically, if you have this metadata, you have these extractions, you can add some actions, some rule-based actions to be performed on this data. And you can do some automatic validation checks. The most relevant use case we saw here was for a transport company. They had this business process when wherever a transport was about to begin, they had to send over to their headquarters some permits, which was a basic check. Like someone needs to get that by email. They need to check, okay, is this still valid? What's the location where they go? Do we need extra certificates or extra permissions for this? Now, this was done on their side by a person, but what we managed to do was a proof of concept to get that document from the email, OCR it, so get the content out of it, extract some relevant entities like, okay, extract what's the validity date, what's the issue date, extract the location, and do some automatic validations. Like, okay, if this permit is still active and it's going to a location where we have an agreement already, just automatically approve it, send back an email to the transporter, and then say it, okay, you're good to go. And this, you can imagine, it made them easy for them to process these types of permits, and then it also make it faster. Of course, that's what automation is for. Another use case that is very important, especially in financial and healthcare in these industries, is compliance. So basically, having these entities and doing linking between data, you can have more advanced compliance checks. So basically, if we know which person is mentioned in a contract and what activity he has done, then we can put some checks on that compliance as well. And this was a use case for one of our clients in the financial sector, where again, connecting his both relational data with data entities that we extracted from non-relational data, like documents, basically, like contracts. We use that, we link those entities together, and we put checks on top of that to say, okay, if this person who needs to respect this agreements then does any type of activity in where he shouldn't, basically, it's going to breach compliance, so you can trigger an alert on that. And another use case we actually saw is the visibility, like bringing visibility to your data. And this was like providing a 360 view on your data. So linking all these entities, you might be able to build these nice graphs that we're seeing everywhere, and actually empowering this data-driven business to have better decision in this, and have, of course, insights and analytics on top of that. And this case we saw when building a data hub for one of our clients in the pharmaceutical industry. And what we did on top of integrating that data in the data hub, we also augmented that with additional metadata to extract more insights and more analytics, so they can know, okay, what to use in moving in a certain direction. And I think for this specific use case, they were using clinical trials. So they wanted to get more insights out of clinical trials, so they can share data basically between trials, so they don't have to research a specific drug that was already tested again. Okay, now we've done, I've talked you through the use cases, but let's see some extraction examples. So we've actually took a light version of our Datavid Rover, and we've put some extractors from the Datavid Rover behind the scenes, and we loaded some PubMed articles to see what our extractors would extract from those documents. So let me stop the presentation and go to our this light version of the rover. So basically, it's just a set of articles that we loaded here. I'm gonna first search for a specific one that I thought of sharing with you. I'm gonna open this one. Basically, this is an article from PubMed talking about obesity in the Inuit, adipose tissue, and ischemic heart disease. So what we've done with this article is that we've applied two models here that I'm gonna show, which are actually, if you remember the parts we talked at types, it's actually it's an entity recognition part. So we took a model that was trained on 700,000 news articles to extract general entities from documents. So you can see it knows how to extract dates, and it gets the dates even better than just using a normal regex. So it gets things like mid-1990s, you get periods like thousands of years. And this was very useful in our automation use case, when we had to extract. We had to support multiple countries. We didn't know the template. It was not a specific template because there were different types of permits. So we had to extract different dates from those permits together with some locations. So in our automation use cases, putting a model trained on these general entities, even if the model was trained on newsletter articles, it works for this use case because they were the same, basically, general entities. So this knows how to extract dates, locations, persons, and actually other 15 other entities, basically because it's a neural nets model trained on a lot of data. In addition to this general model, we've also applied on this particular article, we've applied a more specific healthcare specific model, which was trained on PubMed data in this case. So we took a lot of PubMed data where diseases and chemical substances were tagged, and we trained a model to be able to extract diseases from this document. So you can see this is a custom entity of disease saying white adipose tissue mass, and it also extracts chemicals, which things like omega-3 or fatty acids. And having this in place was helping us usually in our discovery use cases, where we empower our customers to answer questions like, what disease are these chemical substances related to, or what I don't know what persons are working in, have more knowledge about these chemical substances or diseases to which we can go and get more answers. Okay, so yeah, these are the two models on entity recognition. So basically, this is the context where we've got some tag data, or we use some publicly available tag data because it extracts general entities, and we apply it to solve an entity extraction problem for our customers. But I've also mentioned entity linking, which is basically using an ontology. So you have an existing knowledge graph, you have an existing ontology that you build, you have some relevant data in your company, using that to expand the knowledge that you get from your content. And in this case, we took the mesh ontology, which is the medical headings ontology, which is publicly available. Yeah, which is publicly available. And we've built a pipeline to basically, we extracted medical entities from this document, and then we did a fuzzy search, as Michael called it. So basically a similarity search. It was not a fixed search, with terms from this medical ontology. And you can see, then we get to these things where you can see type 2 diabetes. It was actually matched to the concept of diabetes mellitus type 2 in MESH. And I put a link here to the MESH ontology description, which will give you all the relevant information about this disease. So this concept in the ontology. Same is with cancers, was actually detected at neoplasm. So again, a link to that concept in MESH. So now, again, in this case, we've linked this data. So this ontology data, we've linked it with your content. So again, use cases like discovery. So being able, when you do a search, give me all my documents which mention type 2 diabetes mellitus. Behind the scenes, we're actually going to search for all the known synonyms. So all the known synonyms along the content, and then get those results back to you. Similar to that, you can have functionalities like there's no search results for type 2, but we know from this mesh that it has other, you can see the tree structure. So you can maybe say, are you looking for type 1? We've actually find documents which mention type 1. So you can travel and use these relationships in order to solve your problem. Okay, same for compliancy. You can basically link the person that you extract for the document. You can link them into your AD group and know is certain information about those persons. Okay, other documents. I can show you more about these extractors, but things like these are the types of entities that we can also extract. Also, an interesting part we saw in one of our use cases is that if you can extract also quantity, this might be relevant also in analyzing patients' data and analyzing treatments. Maybe you connect that with the ontology, and then you have all the information about the person which you treated, and the studies that are performed on those treatments. So these are examples that, yeah, basically what you can empower your entity extraction, and you can use them to solve all these different use cases. Now, I'm going to be sensible of time. I can go ahead and show you more documents, but I'm going to be sensible of time and move to the next part. But happy to dig deeper and have another session on showing more documents and maybe using models from different industries. Okay, moving forward, what we want to go into the agenda. The next part is the rover, Datavid Rover part. And basically the story of the rover is that the extractors we've presented now, we saw a pattern that we can have these extractors solve problems for different use cases. So we saw a pattern emerging from the use cases we solved and you say, okay, how we can reuse this to also solve that problem, how we can reuse that to enable this other client of ours to do this search. We can use this model that we've trained for extracting general entities on this public data. We can use it both for automation in this customer, but also for discoverability in the other customer. So that's why we decided to, okay, let's try and pack all of this and basically build a solution, a platform where we can have these extractors provide real value to our use cases. So that's what Datavid Rover is. Malvinder, do you want to go to this diagram of all the modules of the Datavid Rover and how they work together?
Yeah, sure, Alex. Thank you. So this gives you a high level snapshot of what Datavid Rover is. It's basically, you might have, existing systems like where you have your documents like in SharePoint, file system, Documentum, authoring systems, and they might be in the very different formats like Word, PDF, images, something that needs OCR, Excel, might be, tabular format or non-tabular format. And you want to build one single platform which allows you to view all your data and have this intelligent search, cognitive search. So not just enterprise search but semantic search, and not just semantic search but cognitive search, which is you're all using machine learning models to train and become better in tagging and doing extracting entities and tagging entities. So Datavid Rover is a set of accelerator packs and microservices which we build, which you show at the bottom there. So we have storage API, upload API. You can store to S3, Azure, different storage. That's like your staging area where you take your Word document, you extract text from, you upload it, you extract text from it. After extracting text, you might want to do OCR on it, depending on the type of the document. If it's a text PDF or an image PDF, then you invoke your enrichment APIs. And these enrichment APIs is what Alex was showing, is the different models we have built. And you can have one or many different models. Some of them could be based on your ontologies, which you would have curated or built in-house, or some of these could be ontologies that are public ontologies. Like in this case, we use the mesh taxonomy to tag the documents. So the entity extraction is basically first extracting the keywords and understanding the part of speech, doing the part of speech tagging, then doing named entity recognition. And then you have two options. Either you can do model-based extraction or ontology-based extraction. And this is where MarkLogic's Data Hub sits well, because it allows you to have your data in staging area where you do the harmonization, you do the extraction, upload, and then once you have it ready, you have done the tagging, done the entity extraction, you move it to the final database where on top of which you have your search API, you can build your knowledge graph APIs, and you can build all kinds of visualizations on top of it, like clustering visualization, graphical visualization. What Alex shows you is a simple search UI on top of MarkLogic. And on top of this, in the middle is the data flow orchestration engine. Now, in Datavid Rover's case, we're using Apache NiFi, so some open source technologies also. And it could be AWS step functions or another type of orchestration engine, which orchestrates and invokes all these microservices. And you can bolt on your own existing microservices, or you can use what we have already built. And so it accelerates the journey in building these intelligent platforms. And that's what Datavid Rover is all about.
Okay, thanks for the insight of what's behind the hood. Now that we've shown you the extractor, we showed you what's behind the hood. But now I want to show you also a video of what will the new UI that we're having now going to provide in terms of functionalities, and what actual capabilities will that have out of the box, and you can go ahead and use it. Now, yeah, this won't be a long video, but the story of the video is that, okay, let's say you get an email that, okay, we've got a PO from an old client called Anywhere. In this case, it's just, this will make it harder for you to just use a normal text search. And okay, you need to answer some questions about this client. Do we still have an active contract? Are there any pending invoices? Who's the person we should go to for that? Now, you open Datavid Rover, you have this nice search page to use. Let's first go over a bit. Let's say you have another batch of documents that you haven't yet loaded. So you go over, you load those documents. It might be from any cloud source. It might be a file system. It might be a network drive. And then you go to step 2, which is the interesting part here, where you have to choose the concepts and the domain of the documents you've selected in terms for us to apply those extractors and extract those concepts from your documents. So in this example, we've put some finance and education domains and some extractors for the concepts on the right-hand side. But you can imagine on what I've showed before, that you might have here the general domain, which is going to have the concepts I've presented about person and location, or you might have that healthcare domain extractor, which extracts diseases or chemical substances, or you might have the mesh extractor, which is going to, based on mesh, extract those ontologies. So you load your batch of data, you say, okay, for this data, I wanted to extract these concepts. So this is from corporate banking, just extract me these concepts. You add some custom tags to the documents. This is just to help you better organize your documents and have better search them. And then you can choose to run this in the background and then get on with your search. On the left-hand side, some facets. So basically to provide that advanced search capabilities, let's say we first select the dates on which we're searching for our contract and invoices. Then we use the facets to further reduce the result set we're looking at. You can use the stats to see where you're at, get it to a number that you can use to go through the documents. And then another thing that you have below the search bar is the extend your search. So basically we're showing you a list with the concepts that are most frequent in your search result. So you can see here you have persons, you have facilities, you have languages, and you can use these concepts to add them to the search bar. So you can say, okay, I want to filter by language. This will actually suggest, after you select the concept, it will suggest different values that we have in this result set. So you can say, okay, just choose, I want to see the English documents, but we'll also be able to do suggestions based on what you type. So if you start to type anywhere, we can see in your search results that anywhere it's in here an organization, is tagged as an organization. So you can actually choose that and do a concept search instead of a normal text search that will bring in everywhere, every document that actually mentions anywhere. Then you'll have your final result set, let's say. It's like 20 files, it's fine. The second result, it's a contract. We see from the tags, it's an active contract. So that might be our result. You open it, you get in a document view. Here in the document view, you can make use of, I've shown you this on the light version as well. You can make use of the highlighting. So you can choose, okay, I want to highlight these terms. Here in this video is just showing anywhere where it's extracted, but you'll also have a different view in not just browsing the document, but browsing the relationships that we found between this document and other documents. And these relationships were not predefined. We didn't use any keys for that. It's just based on the extracted concepts and the tags you've applied. So we can say, okay, these documents are related because they have these similar tags, and they also have 5 or more concepts in common. Another way of visualizing these relationships are graphs, as you well know from all the other presentations. And you can use these graph search to navigate these relationships and see, okay, we've saw from the previous tab that the invoices are there and the invoices are paid. But let's see, maybe if from this graph we can navigate the concepts, we see, okay, these are the persons which are actually related, and these are the most mentioned persons in our documents and in our contract. So this might be the person of interest to contact for this contract. So basically, this is how we've used the Datavid Rover platform to answer the questions we had. And this is a discovery case that we have for the Datavid Rover. Okay.
Thanks, Alex.
Now, this is for the video. We also have we've put here a Q&A. I don't know, James, if you want to just leave that for